Welcome back to Dark Side of the Mic, and today we're going to look at the TT1 Pro-Lanen microphone from the French company Prodipe. Now this is a cardioid dynamic that's had some rave reviews online, but I still think it's relatively unknown despite being out for over 10 years. And at just £35 in the UK, I think this could be a contender for one of the best budget dynamics that you can buy. Now this is a French designed microphone with the parts assembled in China. It's very well made with a rubbery style coating on the handle and a rock solid black head basket. Very simple but effective. The company apparently worked their way through hundreds of Chinese dynamic capsules before finding one they actually liked, and I can totally relate to that. In terms of notable specs then, it really has quite a hot output of -49 dB. And that means in practical terms that my Antelope Audio Zen Go is at 50 dB of gain for me to comfortably hit -12 dB for spoken word dialogue from about 2 to 3 inches off the mic. Now the frequency response runs from 50 to 15 kHz and shows an obvious presence boost in the high end. So while being a fairly bright sounding mic, it really does sound quite smooth on first impressions. There's a fair bit of extension in the low end as well, especially when you engage that proximity effect. So overall it makes it sound really quite full and balanced, which is quite a contrast to a lot of the cheaper dynamic mics, which tend to sound a little bit thin and sibilant. So in that sense, I think it sounds a lot more expensive than its price suggests. Now for this recording I'm using a foam windscreen with the mic because I think it just tames the high end a little bit for my taste. But if I were to take it off... Okay, so now once the windscreen is off, you get a little bit more sense of that high-end energy coming through. And obviously it's a little bit more susceptible to plosives, so you need to be extra careful. If I was to talk directly into the mic, Peter Piper picked a patch, you don't want to be doing that. But with good mic technique, talking across the mic, I think it's absolutely fine. So I guess it comes down to your sound preferences. But for me, I'll pop the windscreen back on for the rest of the review. So let's do some comparisons then, and today we'll read through some song lyrics, and we'll start with the TT1. Again, my gain is at 50 dB on the Antelope Audio Zen Go. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day's dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. So our first comparison is with the Behringer XM8500, the bargain basement favourite at about £20, and I've left my gain at 50 dB, so another kind of hot output dynamic, so this is a good one to do a comparison with. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day's dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. Next up we have the SE Electronics V7, possibly my favourite budget dynamic mic of all time so far. And our gain is increased to about 55 dB, so this is slightly less sensitive than the TT1. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day is dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. Next up is the Rode Procaster, and we've kept our gain at 55 dB of gain, so exactly the same as what we had the V7 at, and this is how this one sounds. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day is dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. And now we've moved over onto my homemade dynamic mic, the DSB1, that uses the Chinese NM182 capsule. So I thought this would be an interesting one to include for comparison's sake. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day's dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. And now we've moved over onto the Neumann BCM 705. Now this is the most expensive dynamic mic I own. I think it's about $600 brand new. I've increased my gain to 57 dB, so it's also one of the quietest mics, so that's something to bear in mind. But this is how that one sounds. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day is dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. And finally, to complete the comparison today, we're going to end on the Shure SM7B, very familiar sound and really quite different from most of the other examples in this test today. She weaves secrets in her hair. The whispers are not hers to share. She's deep as a well, she's deep as a well. Another day wastes away, and my heart sinks with the sun. A new day is dawning, and a new day has not yet begun. And our gain was at 60 dB for the Shure. So moving on to some final thoughts then, I think what struck me there about some of the comparisons was really just how similar the TT1 sounded to me to the Rode Procaster. Now that's a much more expensive mic, so I thought what I'd do with the final part of the recording today would be to record with both of those mics again at the same time and jump back and forward between them. So we'll put up on screen what mic we're using and you can get a sense of what the differences are. In terms of the sound, I think the TT1 seems to have a little bit more of a low-end response in comparison to the Procaster, which is quite surprising because I do consider the Procaster to be quite a warm, bassy sounding mic. The high end is perhaps a tad more boosted as well, but with the windscreen I think that levels it out a little bit and makes it very, very close. Another key difference is how much gain each mic requires. It's about a 5 dB difference by my calculations in terms of the difference between how much more gain the Procaster needs over the TT1. So if you're running a fairly weaker preamp, the TT1 might be a great option for that. Overall then, I think the TT1 offers a really compelling option for anyone interested in doing podcasting on a budget. It certainly offers a really smooth, almost condenser-like sound that has really impressed me. And considering it's only £40 or €40, that's just an incredible cost if you're not concerned about using a handheld dynamic over a broadcast-style dynamic. And generally, I think if you are concerned about how something sounds and that's important to you, there are more gains to be had looking in the handheld market than there is in the budget broadcast dynamic market. Now, not everyone might agree with that, but I think of the mics that I enjoy the most in terms of how they sound, they all tend to be handheld dynamics, especially in the budget range. So that's something to bear in mind when you're shopping for your first mic. Hope that's been helpful for you, and do check this mic out if you can. I think it's a great deal and it's available all over the world. So until next time, do take care, and we'll see you again soon.